Hey garden friends, we are out in the garden and I'm going to share with you the seeds I started this winter and spring and what is blooming right now in the late August garden. All of these I started from seed, some I winter sowed. I'll link to my winter sowing video here, and some I started indoors on my light rack, and some I started in the greenhouse. So let's get rolling on what you can start from seeds and fill your garden with beautiful blooms. If you're new here, my name is Pam and I garden here at Flower Patch Farmhouse in Zone 8A in the mountains of Northern California. I contend with being surrounded by tall evergreen trees and a very short growing season. So if I can grow a beautiful garden, so can you. Look how gorgeous these are in the dappled sunlight. And the bumbles love them, bumblebees. These are echinaceas. Now this is from seeds I collected from my own, which are the standard purple coneflower echinacea. Also, I have or had white swan. I just had to take them out because it looked like they may be suffering from that Astor's yellow disease. They were real funky, but this is a beautiful and easy one to winter sow and get tons of blooms for your garden. Next to it here, excuse my shadow, black-eyed Susans or Rudbeckia. Now this one is a sport of cappuccino, but they cross-pollinate, and when you collect your own seeds, you never know what you're going to get. You could get the burnished ones or you could get the pure yellow ones, and they come in lots of shapes and sizes when you collect your own seeds. But if you want a specific color, then you buy that color. Cherry Brandy is a beautiful one. I haven't had a lot of success with it, but I know others have, so you might want to give that one a try. Now look at this beautiful one. I had to stake it up. It got knocked down with the rains from Hurricane Hillary, but this thing, look at the size of that bloom. It's as big as my hand. Just gorgeous. This one is Magnus, I do believe. Magnus echinacea. Now these down here, these big, fat, luscious leaves, these are verbascum. And this one is Wedding Candles, which is a really pretty white one. And I have over behind my bench here in the entrance or welcome garden is Southern Charm. And I also have a purple one here. The others, though, Southern Charm and the purple one, I did not start from seed, but I did start this Wedding Candles. And this one was, pretty sure, one of my winter sown plants. If not, I sowed it indoors. And here's a little cosmos coming up. That one I direct sown, but next year, because I had a real hard time getting cosmos to germinate this year, we had such a cool June, that next year I think I'll start them early in the greenhouse. So over here, this is one of my crazy daisies. It is going to seed, and I didn't cut it back this year. Let's see if there's any more buds. Okay, there's another bud coming down below. So I will cut some of these back, and others I will let dry out, and I'll collect seeds. Now this one had short petals, and I will show you some clips of others that came from the same packet of seeds that are completely different. And that's what the beauty of crazy daisies. You never know what kind of bloom you will get. It could have short petals, it could have long skinny petals, it could have ruffly fluffy petals, but it's just really fun to find out. Now this one got really tall. They don't always get this tall, but this one did. Straight down below, this is Feverfew. Now Feverfew, I can't claim to have grown it myself from seed. This thing just reseeds so prolifically in my garden, and the delicate little daisy-like flowers are pretty, and it's really easy to pull out if it comes up in areas that you don't like. Now down here is a salvia. It's a pretty little salvia that I did grow from seed in the greenhouse. I wanted to show you, this is calaminta. This is the white. It is a subspecies of Nepeta or Nepeta, and it is just gorgeous. It's leaning over into the pathway, and I have a lavender one in the secret cottage garden, which we will go see in a minute. As you can see here, when you sow seeds of Rudbeckia, black-eyed Susans, you get a lot. You get a lot of bang for your buck. I had to support these because the rain had knocked them down. We don't usually get summer rains, so this is new for me, but also this area gets shady in the afternoons this time of year, so they do start to reach for the sun, but they're easy enough to stake. Hopefully you can see down in there, that's yarrow, that's cerise queen. I haven't yet gotten in there to stake that up, but that's a beautiful one that I started from seed. I also did a whole post and or video on winter sowing yarrow by itself. So here are some foxgloves that seeded themselves from ones I had planted, and they're growing thick. These will bloom next year. So there's a big one right there that came up. And that I have found foxglove to be super simple to winter sow and just start indoors and or direct sow from seed. So looking down here at this geranium, I sowed geraniums indoors and started them, and I have a range of colors of beautiful ones, and I'll share some more pink ones I have up on the deck in a little bit. But here is some Verbena bonariensis. This is vanity. It grows a little bit shorter than the standard, and it's just full here. Just lovely climbing through the different plants. Here is some more salvias. I need to find the seed packet. Remember what this one was. It's something giant blue or something. Victory? Oh, I'm sorry. Totally escapes me, but salvias really grow beautifully from seed, especially the annual. Some larkspur. This larkspur also grows beautifully, is easily winter sown, and I even fall sow it directly in the garden. Oh, look, my ageratum. I have some ageratum down there that I sowed. And it's different colors. That one's a lavender. I have a white one in another bed. Violas. Violas reseed themselves. I no longer have to seed them myself, but and here's another geranium that I started from seed. But they're just beautiful, and these will go through the winter and then just fill in beautifully in the spring. You can see actually that this one has gone to seed. You see the seed pod here is empty, so it's been spreading their seeds. So violas is another beautiful one to start from seed. Here's my piece de resistance. This is wave petunias. This is denim shades and also a white wave in there. And then I have a volunteer over here. This that came back from last year. And you see it sticking up there above the rest and just doing beautifully. This whole centerpiece, this was all sown from seed, and it has filled in just like I wanted. I didn't want it to be too crazy climbing over the edge to obscure the center outer circle, but it's just full of blooms and a pollinator magnet. So down in here is that white ageratum, and it's poking through pretty. And I don't know, can you catch it? That's galaxy grass. I want to say glass. Galaxy grass. And it's got these little sparkly things that glitters in the sunlight. Okay, here's another coneflower. I started from seed. Beautiful. And it's got a volunteer morning glory climbing up it that I really need to trim away and protect the coneflower, because those morning glories. Morning glories I have started from seed. I have ones that seed themselves readily throughout the garden, and I just pull up what I don't want, and I leave the rest to climb the fence. So here is the other calaminta. This is Marvelette, if I didn't mention it before, and this is the lavender one that I started from seed. I will move this because I want around this circle to only be boxwoods, and then I think next year I will put in some alyssum around here to have the white to offset whatever I decide to plant here in the circle garden. I think next year Wave Petunias has what's called a taffy mix, which is a yellow and pink blend, And I'm going to try to get my hands on those seeds and fill this with that color, and then have the white below with the boxwoods and have it just be gorgeous. I'll leave the this is a ground cover daisy. I bought this at a 6-pack, but I think the 2 whites in there below will help to accent what is in the circle rather than compete with it. So here are some lime zinnias in there, excuse my shadow, that I did start early. Normally I direct sow zinnias, but this year, they, like the cosmos, they just didn't take off. So just to be sure I have plenty next year, usually I have a whole row of them, and it filled with all colors of zinnias and types, but it didn't work this year because of our weird summer. So zinnias are a great one. You can, I don't winter sow them, I sow them indoors and then keep them in my greenhouse till it's safe to bring out into the garden. But zinnias are a winner in my garden. See down here, this is nicotiana, and I have quite a few colors coming up in the garden. These I started from seed last year, and they reseeded so well there was no need for me to seed anymore this year, but they are just gorgeous. So I have another one over here, and what is so fabulous is as the evening cools, they put out a sweet, sweet scent that is reminiscent or reminds you of jasmine. So down here are some more petunias I started from seed. These are tie-dye, and you see they have the splotches of the purple and the white. And this one over here is almost solid purple, but then it has one little petunia down there or 2, splotched. So there's a beautiful one. I'm trying to see, okay, here's another nicotiana. It's kind of closed up. In the heat of the day, the nicotiana close up, and then they reopen as the evening cools. But this one is a real pretty, it's almost a muddy pink, but it's such a pretty terracotta-ish color to it that it is just gorgeous and smells so sweet. Oh yes, we cannot forget the sweet peas. This one was one I winter sowed, or I should say in my greenhouse. They say if you grow them in the cold, they're tougher and sturdier. And then I'll take you over to show you one that came back by itself from reseeding in the garden. So here you go. Here's a sweet pea here, climbing up this. I think this one is anniversary, but I'm not certain. And it's just blooming away in all its gorgeousness. Here are my Kilimanjaro marigolds. So they're quite tall and bushy and quite pretty. I have one that the first one is orangish, this one is more yellow, and then finally we fade over to the white. Ah, yes, another beauty that I started from seed. Actually, I direct sowed this one, and I was so shocked that when it came up because it was so cold when it did. But I am thinking because it is between this raised bed that was filled and then this raised bed that it had a little hot spot there where it got heat even when it was cooler at night. This is milkmaid nasturtium. It's a creamy white. It's just gorgeous. Growing in this, tucked in this little corner. It took a while to get going, but it got a lot of shade. So I'm sure if I'd grown it somewhere a little bit sunnier, it would have started sooner, but I'm thrilled with it right now. This one tucked down here, what a gorgeous red that is. That one I direct sowed there, and then ignore the weeds on my shadow, and then this one over in the barrel. Usually I have a lot more, but this year they struggled to get started, just like a lot of things that I direct sowed in the garden. Not to be missed is the Echinops. Very, very popular with the bees. And it's such a pretty color. It's a steel leggy blue, lavender, and it fades to like a white, and then you rub it, and then you expose a blue again. Down here, I'll show you pictures of them when they were in full bloom, are delphiniums. These are the new millennium or millennium delphiniums, and they're just gorgeous in the garden. These have been deadheaded, so it's kind of late in the season for them. This, I can't say I started it from seed. They just came up in this pot themselves. I thought it was petunias that had reseeded, but it wasn't. It was this beautiful Calibrachoa. Look at all the different colors in there. There's a lavender and then a bright pink, and I just love it. Make sure, yep, it's moist. Make sure I don't forget to water out here. And I'm trying to look and see, other than my vegetables, I have zucchini and cucumbers and tomatoes galore that are growing. I started those from seed as well. So I think we got it all covered. What I started from seed. I did try to start some phlox, but they didn't do anything. So, oh yes, over here. Over here is some more zinnias. I direct sowed them in this container and they did well. But down here are some status, which I still haven't got in the garden. I need to get those out, planted out. Oh, and then my coleus. My coleus has done just gorgeous. And I have so many beautiful colors. Look at that bright green around that dark, dark burgundy. And then this bright one, I think this one should be called watermelon. That's what it reminds me of. I don't want to miss this. I started ivy geraniums as well, but they haven't really taken off and thickened up. So I don't know if I don't think I would do those again. Pink geraniums I was telling you about that I grew from seed, and they're doing beautiful. They're starting to put on more seed. I need to trim them back, but I was going to let some go to seed so I could start more of these. I love this apple blossom pink. So these petunias, though I can't claim that I started them from seed, they were started from seed. These containers had petunias in them last year, and I just let them stay. I didn't empty them out. And then this spring and summer, petunias started coming up. That's what I love about wave petunias, is they will reseed. So look at all these beautiful colors that I got. This light lavender and then that brighter one. Now this one right here, this was one I put in here. I had bought a 6-pack of this color and put a couple in here. But I knew that these others were filling in, so I only did a couple to have instant color and then let the others come in. Now also the sweet alyssum also came back by itself from seed and just really filled in. In fact, it's over thick, and I could thin it out a little bit and plant some elsewhere in the garden. But for me, that is a great seed-started flower in my garden. This container too, I had popped in some elephant ears of this rectangular metal, galvanized metal container, and I didn't expect petunias to come back, but they did. So beautiful. See, here's the colors again, similar to the ones in the other, because that's the color petunias I had last year. All of these are wave petunias and doing great. Beautiful. And then these elephant ears, the squirrels had dug them up in spring and chewed on them, but I just plopped them back in there thinking, well, maybe they'll grow, but didn't count on it. And sure enough, they went ahead and grew, which was a pleasant surprise. I hope you enjoyed the little tour of my seed-grown flower garden, what you can do with a simple packet of seeds, and even some of them were the inexpensive packets from the dollar store. So give it a try. My winter sowing method, I shouldn't say mine, the winter sowing method that I used and videoed last winter is so easy for everybody to do. And it's been successful for me for a few years, and I get a lot of flowers for the buck. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Please share with your friends and come on back for my next video.